A fan of the channel reached out and said, "Hey Phillies guy, you want my collection? I'll send it to you if you make a video about it." Deal. About 2 weeks later, a diaper box arrived addressed to the Phillies guy. A hilarious start. The box was packed with old t-shirts, even more hilarious. But after the laundry was removed, there was indeed some boxes lurking within. I have no idea what's here, so let's explore. So many collections like this are out there in closets, garages, and attics. The previous owner hadn't been through it in years and years, and so we went forward with the agreement that if there was anything huge in here, that we'd split the resale. So who knows, maybe there's a whale lurking beneath these waters. Okay, what do we got? We've got a 1991 Topps traded set that looks complete. We'll have to check that for the Pudge and Bagwell rookies later. A box of junk wax. A box of junk wax. Some football cards, but those are 1954 Bowmans on top. Another box of junk wax with a 64 Topps Common thrown in for funsies. I'd recognize that pattern anywhere. Those are all 1991 Donruss cards. 1990 Upper Deck Factory Set, 1990 Topps Factory Set, 1989 Topps Factory Set, and a 1992 Topps Factory Set. On first glance, it seems to be your garden variety 80s kid junk wax collection with a few vintage cards thrown in for good measure. But now the fun part begins, going through the cards and hunting for treasure. Starting with the 1991 Topps traded set. It was complete, and the Pudge rookie looked nearly perfect. Slightly off-center top to bottom, so not a 10. But that's a solid 9. This is about a $3 card. PSA 10s go for about $40, and that is just the sad fate of junk wax Hall of Fame rookies, Griffey notwithstanding. The Jeff Bagwell rookie looked great too, and suffered from the same very slight top-to-bottom misalignment, a solid 9. Another $3 card. For both the Bagwell and the Pudge, you can pick up a PSA 9 for $15, which is half the cost to get the card graded in the first place. Another sad fate of our junk wax heroes. In any case, I had a Bagwell already, but I didn't have the Pudge, so I'm quite happy to add that to the collection. Tearing into the boxes, we've got this Donruss box with a few 1988 Donruss cards in it, which is hilarious because if you saw my recent wax opening video, you know I have more 88 Donruss cards than anyone ever needs. But going through them, I found some quirks, like Kevin Seitzer. How about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Kevin Seitzer cards. There was a trio of Chris Bosio cards too, but no other doubles. Any Hall of Famer in decent shape, I'll set it aside. Busting into the many 1991 Donruss cards, and we begin with Barry Bonds, notable in that it shows the collection hasn't been picked through. Sure, 1988 and 1991 Donruss Hall of Famers aren't worth much, but their presence indicates an honest collection. There really isn't a whole lot to chase in 1991 Donruss, so I'll speed this up and get into the next box. 87 Donruss, looking for a Greg Maddux rookie, but all I'm finding is many duplicates. Some postcards, an 87 Yount, a Jimmy Dean Griffey, which is a weird thing to say and have you understand what that means. Lots of loose early 90s Upper Deck cards too. Finding an 89 Upper Deck Griffey rookie would have been cool, but nothing doing. Next box, we got some 91 Hall of Famers, a 92 Pudge Rookie Cup card that looks very nice, a Griffey, a Bagwell Rookie Cup, another Griffey. This would all make a really nice dollar box. This Bo Jackson also fit that mold. What's cool about going through a collection like this is you can get a sense for who their favorite players were. The Kevin Seitzer and Chris Bosio piles continue to grow. Add to that Dale Sveum and Dave Dravecky. There was a far higher concentration of these four players than could have ever happened organically. Chris Bosio was an average starter for the Brewers, who later became a pitching coach. Dave Dravecky was an all-star in 1983 with the Padres. He later developed a tumor in his pitching arm, which led to amputation in 1991. He's been a motivational speaker ever since. Dale Sveum had a 12-year journeyman career and later went on to coach and manage in the majors too. Why do we have favorite players like these guys? Who knows? One of my favorites when I was growing up was Steve Jeltz, and he was terrible. But he was really fast and he was a switch hitter, and for some reason I kind of like that combination. If I were Chris Bosio or Steve Jeltz, I would take pride in knowing someone out there was collecting my baseball cards. After an initial going through of the collection, we've got a strong pile of Hall of Famers, but no cards that breach the dollar mark besides the 91 traded Pudge and Bagwell rookies. We've got a smattering of cards ranging mostly from 87 and 92, stop me if you've heard this one, and some football cards thrown in for good measure. And speaking of football cards, there were these three beauties in there from 1954 Bowman. These are commons, but, $3 to $5 each in current condition. But these were the outliers. The rest of the football stuff was a mishmash of 80s and 90s cards, which fit the MO of this collection. There was a few Pro Set Joe Montana cards and a few stars of the era like Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman. I've got a few football card collector contacts, so I should be able to find a good home for these cards. This set of cards was new to me. Wild Card Decision 92 cards from AAA Sports. So I flipped through them in what I assume will be a totally normal thing to do. I mean, this Colin Powell card seems normal enough, right? Totally normal GOP Georgia delegate. Madonna with some gay men in hot pants. Ross Perot in a hovercraft. A moose. Bill Clinton, flushed and holding an orange, for reasons I can't explain, iced tea. Yasser Arafat hoping that things would calm down in Palestine. A very pensive Clarence Thomas. George H.W.'s sweaty armpits. Seriously, who chose this photo to include in a trading card set? And crap on a crust, David Duke, the Grand Wizard of the KKK. Who says junk wax collections are boring? No way any of you started this video thinking you were going to see cards of David Duke, George Bush's sweaty armpits, or a moose. That just leaves the complete sets, or what appear to be complete sets. You open enough boxes and you can get a feel for when the cards are missing. Take this 1989 top set, for example. It's not sealed, but when you open it, isn't that cool? That's the pattern left from the machine collation. These cards have never been out of the box. I could call this complete, but there is always a question of quality control, as I have opened even sealed boxes to find a card or two missing. So like the first person to take a knife to a new jar of peanut butter, out the cards come to be sequentially numbered. The set was complete, the rookies looked great, and I even filled the gap in the bottom of the box with a cardboard insert so the cards lay flat. This divot, I really don't like the aesthetics. Filling that gap makes the cards sit flush and flat, and that makes me happy. 3 more sets to check, so as I got out the 1990 top set, I threw on a game and got to work. The cards had never been touched, all was present and accounted for, cards now numbered, rookies sleeved, box updated, cards laying flat, and Bob's your uncle. This 1992 Topps box still had the Topps Gold cards in it, and the 1993 Topps pre-production samples. Frank Thomas, Barry Bonds, Griffey, Fisk, Mark McGuire, cool stuff. These cards could fetch $1 for the right buyer. The Topps Gold cards were in there too, and amongst mostly the commons was this Randy Johnson, another dollar bin delight. And last of the sets was a 1990 Upper Deck complete set. Now these sets came from the factory already in numerical order, making my job easy. I just give it a cursory flipping through, verifying that all the cards are there. I'll throw a sleeve on the Griffey and the Larry Walker rookie too. Frank Thomas is not in this set, so Walker is the lone Hall of Fame rookie for 1990 Upper Deck. Alongside the rest of this otherwise standard junk wax collection were a few vintage cards, a 64 Topps, a 74, a 75, a 77, just randomly inserted here and there. And there were 4 sets of 1997 Mother's Cookies Texas Rangers team sets. Mother's Cookies is a West Coast brand, and these cards rarely made it east of the Mississippi. They were available in Mother's Cookies packages, but the team sets were stadium giveaways too. Let's see who's here. Will Clark, Juan Gonzalez, Pudge Rodriguez. And are you seeing this? Look at this Billy Ripken card. This was 8 years after the infamous 1989 Fleer error, and here is Billy Ripken giving an obvious shout out to that card with a different team, RIP, written on the bat knob this time. This is a great card. I did a quick search on these cards, and PSA actually grades them. And a total of 8 cards from the set have been graded. There is exactly one Bill Ripken card out there in PSA land, graded an 8. If I sent these 4 sets in, I could probably end up with a Pop 1 PSA 10, and then I could resell it and be rich, I tells ya. Filthy rich! Or maybe I'll just find a Rangers collector who'd like to have these. I've got 4 sets, Rangers guys. Send me an email if you want one. When acquiring a collection, the big question is always, what am I going to do with it all? There is definitely some cool stuff I want to keep. Here's the best stuff that will go into my permanent collection. 92 Topps Pudge along with the 92 Fleer, and let's throw in the 92 Donruss in there too. A 92 Jim Thome, 93 Upper Deck Jeff Kent, 92 Topps Gold Randy Johnson, 93 pre-production samples, and an 89 glossy Carl Yastrzemski. Add to that the 91 traded set, which included the Pudge and the Bagwell rookies. And I don't already have an Upper Deck set from 1990, so I'll keep that as well. That leaves complete sets from 89, 90, and 92 Topps to pass along to another collector, and 5 boxes of various commons, stars, and Hall of Famers too. Before I had a chance to even think about listing any of it for sale, I had a chance encounter with another marketplace listing. I had some bulk cards listed for sale for $4 a box. Nothing crazy, 5 boxes of cards listed for $20. With Marketplace, you never really know who's on the other end of messages until they show up. And as it turns out, it was a young kid, probably 12 years old, who was just getting into cards. His dad drove him over to buy the cards, and they pulled up in what could only be generously be called a car. I started chatting with them, and the kid was just getting into it, his dad tells me. But new packs are so expensive. The $20 that the kid had was a birthday present from his grandma, specifically to buy some baseball cards. But when they went to Walmart, they found that the cheapest blasters were $25, and they couldn't afford them. Kid, do I have the right collection for you? This collection was given to me freely, just so I could tell its story, so the previous owner could send his cards into the world with a proper goodbye. Cards that he got as a kid and eventually outgrew as rent and diapers became more important. This collection's story now told, maybe it could now have a new life in the hands of a kid who for pennies can build some sets, do some good old-fashioned sorting, thumb through some complete sets, and best of all, not have to worry about value or price. So we shook hands on the $20 for the 5 boxes of cards that he came to buy. He hands me the cash, and I tell him to wait for a second. I run into the house. I took his $20 bill and I tucked it in a box between some commons. If he goes through these cards, he'll find it. I come back out with the collection. 3 complete sets and 5 additional boxes of cards. Here you go, kid. Give him a good home. His face lit up. His dad smiled. They loaded the boxes up in their car. The engine coughed to life, and off they drove. The story of this collection isn't over. It's just getting started. The joy of the hobby passed along from person to person to person, like the Olympic flame. May you pass that flame along to somebody